The designer wine glasses clinked as my sister Courtney raised her phone for an Instagram live, drawing everyone's attention exactly as she'd planned. Wait, I need to share this with my followers, she announced, perfectly positioned to capture the chandelier light. Big news, everyone. Her practiced smile gleamed as she panned around our parents' extravagantly set dining table. I just got called for an interview at Nexus Technologies. My mother Eleanor gasped theatrically, nearly dropping her fork in her rush to lean into frame. Nexus Technologies? The hottest tech company in San Francisco? The very same, Courtney preened, tossing her expertly highlighted hair as she adjusted the angle to catch her best side. Senior Marketing Director position. They reached out to me specifically. She tilted her phone to capture our parents' reactions before ending the stream with a flourish. Of course they had. Everything came easily to Courtney. Perfect popularity without effort, glamorous jobs without struggle. A constant stream of success, real or embellished, that our parents never tired of celebrating on their own social accounts. I sat quietly, pushing my food around my plate, checking notifications on my smartwatch beneath the table. In this family, I was never allowed to fade into the background for long. Not when they needed someone to compare Courtney to, especially after my divorce. Isn't that wonderful? My mother gushed, smoothing her designer dress. Now that's a real career path. She turned to me, her smile sharpening like a blade. You should ask Courtney for advice, Vivian. Maybe she can help you find something better. And someone better too, perhaps? It's been 3 years since the divorce? Better than what I was doing now. She meant better than the tech startup I'd built from scratch, because apparently being your own boss wasn't as impressive as having one, and being single at 35 was apparently a tragedy. I'm doing fine, Mom, I said quietly, feeling my watch vibrate with another alert about our company's stock price. But Courtney was already laughing, refreshing her post to check the likes. Oh please. You can't even get a real job, she smirked. How long are you going to pretend that your little tech thing is an actual career? Remember how that depression nearly ruined you? My father Harrison set down his third whiskey of the night. Courtney has a point, Vivian. You're 35. It's time to get serious about your future. Find stability. I gripped my fork tighter, thinking about the acquisition contracts waiting for my signature, the AI patents I was finalizing, the tech empire I had built while they were all busy undermining me and mocking my mental health recovery. My business is doing well, I started to explain, but Courtney cut me off. Business? Please. You work from that sad little home office and probably barely make enough to pay your therapist. Meanwhile, I'm about to be a senior director at Nexus. She turned to our parents, angling for another photo. Did I mention the compensation package? Base pay is $250,000 plus equity and bonuses. My mother nearly swooned, already imagining the country club conversations. My father beamed with pride, pouring another drink. I thought about my company's latest quarterly earnings report, $2.7 billion, and had to suppress a laugh. When's the interview? I asked, keeping my voice neutral while silencing another stock alert. Monday morning, Courtney replied smugly, scrolling through filter options. Not that it matters. The position is practically mine already. The CEO specifically requested to interview me personally. I bet they did, I thought, remembering the stack of resumes on my desk. Among them Courtney's application, forwarded to me by HR with a note, another entitled candidate with an inflated social media following. Your call, boss. Well, good luck, I said, standing up. I should get going. Early investor meeting tomorrow. Courtney snickered, snapping a final selfie. What? Did someone finally agree to fund one of your little app ideas, Vivian? My mother sighed, flicking invisible dust from her sleeve. When are you going to stop this ridiculous independent phase? Your depression was bad enough. Your father could have gotten you a proper position years ago. I thought about the nameplate on my office door. The one that reads Vivian Mitchell Reed, CEO, Nexus Technologies. The one Courtney would see tomorrow morning. You're right, Mom, I said, gathering my things. Maybe it is time for a change. They probably thought I was finally admitting defeat. They had no idea what was coming. As I drove home to my hillside estate in the Bay Area, not that they knew I owned a $12 million property, I thought about how we got here, how their constant dismissal had driven me to build something more revolutionary than they could comprehend. It started 13 years ago with my Stanford MBA, where I graduated in the top 5% of my class. Courtney was the family darling then too, posing for perfect LinkedIn profile pictures while I quietly coded at night, analyzing market gaps in AI technology that nobody else saw. When I told them I was developing my first app, they laughed and asked when I'd get serious. When I sold that app for $3 million at 25, they called it beginner's luck. When I started investing in struggling tech startups and transforming them with innovative AI solutions, they didn't even bother to ask what I was working on. My voice-activated home system greeted me as I entered. Welcome home, Ms. Reed. Your portfolio is up 3.2% today. My grandfather Edwin had been my only supporter. Vivian, he'd told me when I was just 10, showing me how to analyze stock trends. Most people are too busy looking successful to actually succeed. Before he died, he left me seed money and his wisdom about the tech industry he'd helped pioneer. 5 years ago, I made my boldest move, acquiring Nexus Technologies through a complex series of investment vehicles I'd designed. The aging founder was ready to retire, and I had spent years preparing my strategy, using everything I'd learned from my grandfather. I changed my professional name to Vivian Mitchell Reed, using my mother's maiden name, knowing my family never bothered to follow technology news. I rebuilt Nexus from foundation to cloud, transforming it into the AI powerhouse reshaping our digital world. And through it all, my family remained oblivious, too busy promoting Courtney's Instagram posts to notice that their mentally fragile daughter was now one of the most influential women in technology, with a net worth exceeding $700 million. My phone buzzed as I pulled into my climate-controlled garage. A text from Courtney with a selfie taken outside the Nexus building. You should really come to Nexus sometime. See what a real tech company looks like. I'll give you a tour after I get the job and get verified on Instagram. I smiled, thinking of my minimalist corner office on the top floor with its living wall of plants. The one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Golden Gate. The one Courtney had described as her dream workspace in her application cover letter. Tomorrow was going to be enlightening. In my home office, surrounded by technology most consumers wouldn't see for another 5 years, I reviewed Courtney's resume and social media profiles one more time. On paper and Instagram, she looked impressive. Berkeley education, steady corporate climb, curated LinkedIn recommendations. But I'd done thorough research. I knew about the marketing campaigns she'd taken credit for while barely contributing. The junior team members she'd pushed aside. The metrics she'd manipulated. I picked up the framed photo of my grandfather, white-haired, kind-eyed, MIT engineering degree just visible in the background. His belief in me had been my foundation when my depression hit after the divorce from the perfect husband Courtney had introduced me to, the one who'd embezzled money from my first company. Courtney had always excelled at crafting the perfect image. Tomorrow she would learn that substance matters more than style. My phone buzzed again. My mother this time. Darling, I saw Courtney's announcement about Nexus. I know you must be feeling discouraged seeing her success. Why don't you let your father call some of his golf buddies? It's not too late to find a respectable position and perhaps meet someone new. That little depression episode is behind you now. I set the phone down without responding and walked to my strategy room. The walls displayed framed magazines featuring Nexus's transformation. AI's most innovative leader, one headline read. Vivian Mitchell Reed, the unseen woman revolutionizing how we interact with technology, declared another next to my TED Talk poster. My family had spent years telling me I wasn't stable enough, ambitious enough, normal enough. Tomorrow they would learn just how wrong they were. I opened my secure laptop and messaged Zoe, Please ensure Ms. Courtney Reed's interview is scheduled in my office at 9 a.m. sharp. Have her wait in the lobby for 30 minutes before bringing her up. Make sure the digital wall displays our latest innovation timeline. A minor detail perhaps, but after years of enduring her condescension and the way she'd turned my college friends against me during my darkest days, I thought I deserved this small moment of reckoning. I spent the evening reviewing our latest quantum computing integration project and our Women in Tech mentorship program financials, just like any Sunday. But this Sunday felt electric with anticipation. Tomorrow everything would shift. As I got ready for bed, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I looked nothing like the anxious, post-divorce woman my family still imagined me to be. My confidence was genuine now, my presence commanding. I had transformed through my struggles while they weren't paying attention. Tomorrow they would finally see me, and I couldn't wait for the revelation to begin. Monday morning arrived with a tingle of anticipation running through my veins. I stood in my private elevator, ascending to the top floor of Nexus Technologies, watching San Francisco wake up through the glass walls. My tailored Stella McCartney suit was impeccable, my heels clicking with purpose across the sustainable bamboo flooring as I stepped out. "Good morning, Ms. Mitchell Reed," my COO Zoe Winters greeted me with a knowing smile. "Your 9 o'clock appointment arrived at 8:30, very early." She's been waiting in the lobby, telling everyone she's personal friends with the CEO and board members. I checked my watch, a custom smartwatch we were developing with health monitoring capabilities. 8:45 now. Let's give her another 15 minutes. How's she handling the wait? Zoe's eyes sparkled with amusement. She's asked for special coffee 3 times, name-dropped tech VCs she claims to know personally, and told our receptionist that her sister is, and I quote, "a tech nobody who couldn't code her way out of a paper bag after her mental breakdown." I felt a momentary sting but smiled, setting my tablet on my desk. Charming as ever. Has she noticed the digital wall display or any of the magazine features? Not even a glance, Zoe smirked. She's too busy taking selfies in front of our logo and posting about her big day to actually observe anything. She's used 7 different filters so far. Typical Courtney, so focused on crafting her image that she missed the substance around her. The lobby showcased our company's journey, with my presentations and innovations highlighted on the digital wall. My Forbes cover interview was prominently displayed, but Courtney was too busy staging photos to notice. "I've analyzed her resume and social media presence as you requested," Zoe noted, arranging documents on my desk. "Her follower count appears artificially inflated. Half her claimed achievements are exaggerated, a third are entirely fabricated, and the rest were team efforts she's taking full credit for." I nodded, unsurprised. Just like that college app competition. Remember when she won that Tech Influencer Award? For the startup concept I actually coded the prototype for while she was busy networking at parties? The very same, Zoe confirmed. We've documented everything. The interview recording will begin automatically when she enters. I settled behind my desk, adjusting my nameplate slightly. Send her up at precisely 9 o'clock. And Zoe, make sure our security team captures the lobby and elevator footage. This moment deserves proper documentation. At exactly 9 a.m., my office phone chimed. "Ms. Reid is here for her interview," Zoe announced formally. "Please send her in." The door opened and Courtney strode in like she was walking a runway, phone still in hand. She wore an expensive but slightly too trendy suit, her confidence radiating with practiced perfection. Then she saw me behind the CEO's desk. The phone nearly slipped from her hand as the color drained from her face. "Vivian," she stammered, frozen in the doorway. What are you doing here?" "Good morning, Courtney," I said pleasantly. "Please, take a seat. We have quite a lot to discuss regarding your application for the Senior Marketing Director position." She didn't move, her mouth opening and closing wordlessly. But I'm supposed to meet with Vivian Mitchell Reed, the CEO. I smiled, gesturing to my nameplate. That would be me. Vivian Mitchell Reed, formerly just Vivian Reed. Though I'm not surprised you didn't make the connection. You never did pay attention to anything I accomplished. Courtney sank into the chair across from me, her Instagram perfect composure cracking. This is impossible. You're just a small-time app developer. You work from home. You had a breakdown. Actually, I leaned back in my chair, savoring this moment of clarity. I own this building. And our development campus in Palo Alto. Nexus Technologies has been my company for the past 5 years. I pulled up her application on my tablet. Now, shall we discuss your qualifications? I have some questions about these achievements you've listed and these follower counts you've purchased. Actually, I leaned back in my ergonomic chair, savoring this moment of truth. I own this building. And our innovation campus in Palo Alto. Nexus Technologies has been my company for the past 5 years. I pulled up her digital portfolio on my tablet. Now, shall we discuss your application? I'm particularly interested in these metrics you've claimed and these purchased followers we've identified. You can't be serious, Courtney whispered, her voice trembling as she clutched her phone. You can't be the CEO. You're just my depressed little sister who couldn't even keep a husband. That's what you all believed, isn't it? I kept my voice measured, professional, despite the sting of her words. Poor Vivian. Can't even hold down a real tech job. Just a nobody coding in her home office after her breakdown. Tell me, Courtney, did you ever once ask what kind of AI systems I was developing? What companies I was transforming? Or were you too busy staging photos of your mediocre marketing campaigns for Instagram? She flinched, her perfectly manicured hand shaking. I didn't think. No, you didn't, I agreed, the hurt of years of dismissal still raw beneath my composure. None of you did. You were all too convinced of my failure to recognize my success. Too busy mocking my mental health struggles to see the strength they gave me. I opened her digital file on the wall screen. Now, about this claim that you single-handedly increased your brand's engagement by 200% last year? That's accurate, she stuttered, but I could see the panic flickering behind her eyes as her gaze darted between me and her phone. Interesting. Because our analytics team has the actual data from your company's platforms. The entire marketing team only achieved a 32% authentic engagement increase. And according to interviews with your former team members, that was primarily due to a campaign concept developed by your junior associates, the one you initially rejected but took full credit for on LinkedIn after it went viral. Courtney's face transitioned from ghostly pale to flushed red. You've been investigating me? Spying on my accounts? I thoroughly vet all potential senior executives. We have exceptionally high standards at Nexus. I smiled slightly. Standards that value genuine innovation over follower counts and authenticity over personal branding. Just then my desk chimed softly. Zoe's voice came through discreetly. Ms. Mitchell-Reed, your parents are in the lobby demanding to see you. Mr. Reed appears to have had several drinks already. They're quite insistent. Of course they were. Courtney had undoubtedly texted them the moment reality hit her. Please escort them up, I said calmly. I believe it's time for an overdue family meeting. Courtney shifted nervously, checking her reflection in her phone camera. Vivian, listen, about last night, about all the things I've said over the years about your divorce and your depression. Save it, I cut her off, feeling the old wounds throb. I'm not interested in apologies motivated by self-preservation. I spent years listening to you undermine my recovery and sabotage my relationships. Now you get to sit there and learn exactly who your unstable sister really is. The door burst open without a knock. My parents stormed in, Eleanor in her designer outfit and Harrison slightly unsteady on his feet despite the early hour. Vivian, my mother exclaimed, her practiced social smile completely gone. What is the meaning of this charade? What are you doing in the CEO's office? Hello, Mother, I replied coolly. I was just reviewing Courtney's job application. Would you care to join us? We're discussing the importance of authentic achievement versus the appearance of success, a topic I think might interest you. My father's face darkened with the same expression I'd seen when I'd announced my first startup instead of taking his friend's offer at an investment bank. Stop this ridiculous game immediately. You're embarrassing yourself and your sister. Haven't you caused this family enough distress with your independent choices and emotional problems? I stood slowly, feeling the strength that my grandfather had always seen in me fill the room. No, Dad. For once in your life, you're going to listen to what I have to say. All of you are. I tapped my tablet, and the glass wall behind me transformed into a screen displaying Nexus Technologies' growth under my leadership, our AI innovations, our sustainability initiatives, and our industry impact. Welcome to my company. The one you've heard about at your country club. The one Courtney's been desperate to associate herself with on social media. The one that's been revolutionizing technology while you were all too busy dismissing my potential and focusing on my divorce. They stared at the visualization of what I'd built, the patents, the acquisitions, the global impact statistics, the $700 million valuation. My photo appearing in MIT Technology Review, Wired, and on the cover of Forbes's 40 Under 40 issue. Now, I said, returning to my seat with deliberate calm, let's discuss what actually creates success in the technology industry. Should we start with innovation integrity, or would you prefer to address authentic leadership? The last hints of color drained from Courtney's face as she realized this interview was transforming into something far more consequential than she had anticipated. And we had only just begun. The silence in my office was absolute as my family stared at the holographic data visualization hovering above my desk. 13 years of growth, dozens of patents, ethical AI initiatives reaching millions. My photograph at global tech summits, speaking at the UN, accepting innovation awards. This is all really yours, my mother whispered, sinking into one of the sustainable bamboo chairs, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. Every algorithm and innovation, I confirmed, standing to walk around my desk, feeling strangely calm after years of anticipating this moment. The little app development you dismissed? That was just the beginning. While Courtney was cultivating her Instagram presence and jumping between mid-level marketing positions, I was revolutionizing how AI interfaces with human needs. While you were lamenting my mental health and failed marriage, I was building something that's changing the world. My father, his face flushed from either anger or the morning whiskey, found his voice first. Why didn't you tell us? Why keep this empire a secret from your own family? I laughed, feeling the old hurt bubble up despite my success. Tell you? Like when I tried to tell you about my first $3 million app sale? Or when I attempted to share my first major AI breakthrough? Or any of the achievements you dismissed because they didn't match your narrow definition of what a proper young woman should aspire to? Courtney shifted uncomfortably, her phone now face down on her lap. Vivian, if we had known the scale of what you were doing. That's precisely the point, I cut her off, feeling years of dismissal crystallize into clarity. You only care now because of what I've built, not who I am. You're suddenly interested because of the wealth and influence, not because you believe in my vision or my abilities. I tapped my tablet again, and footage from last night's dinner appeared on the wall, complete with Courtney's Instagram live session. Her mocking voice filled the room. You can't even get a real job, remember how that depression nearly ruined you? Stop, Courtney pleaded, her carefully applied makeup unable to hide her mortification. We understand now. Do you? Because I've been watching you construct your career on exaggerated metrics and appropriated ideas. I've spoken with your former team members, reviewed your supposed portfolio pieces. I know exactly how you've obtained every position on your resume and every follower on your accounts. My mother stood up, smoothing her designer dress with shaking hands. Surely we can resolve this privately. We're family, after all. What will people think? Family? The word felt hollow after so many years. Like when Courtney told everyone my divorce was because I was unstable rather than because her perfect match embezzled company funds? Or when you suggested my depression was just attention-seeking while I was actually fighting to rebuild my life? That kind of family? I was protecting our reputation, Courtney protested weakly. We all make mistakes. Yes, we do, I agreed, feeling not triumph but a strange sense of peace. And now you get to face the consequences of yours. Zoe? My COO entered with a digital portfolio displayed on her tablet. The complete ethics investigation you requested, Ms. Mitchell Reed. Thank you. I opened the file on the wall screen for all to see. Falsified marketing metrics, purchased social engagement, appropriated team innovations, workplace bullying reports from junior staff members. I looked directly at Courtney, seeing for the first time the insecurity behind her perfect facade. Did you really believe none of this would emerge during our standard executive background investigation? Courtney's face went ashen. Those accusations were never substantiated. Because you had Daddy's lawyers silence anyone who spoke up, I finished for her, seeing how history repeated itself. But at Nexus, we consider ethical integrity the foundation of true innovation. We thoroughly examine every candidate's actual contributions. My father stepped forward, swaying slightly as he assumed his investment banker negotiation stance. Now, Vivian, surely we can handle this matter privately as a family? Think about Harrison Reed's reputation at the club. You forfeited that right last night, I replied with the calm I'd learned during my recovery. When you sat silently while Courtney mocked my mental health journey. When you implied I needed your connections to find stability. When you made it painfully clear that no achievement of mine would ever match your narrow definition of success. I tapped a command on my tablet. The office door slid open and Marcus Bennett, my chief legal officer, entered with deliberate professionalism. Marcus, would you please explain to my family the potential consequences of submitting falsified information and purchased engagement metrics on a Nexus Technologies executive application? Marcus adjusted his glasses, his Yale Law degree visible on the wall behind him. Misrepresenting credentials and experience on an executive application constitutes grounds for immediate disqualification and possible legal action, particularly if prior employers wish to pursue damages for defamation, credit misappropriation, or intellectual property violations. Additionally, presenting purchased social media engagement as organic could potentially violate FTC disclosure regulations. Courtney's Instagram perfect facade collapsed entirely. You wouldn't, you can't. Can't what? I asked quietly, feeling no triumph but a strange sense of peace. Protect the company I built from someone with documented pattern of misrepresentation? Uphold the ethical standards that make our technology trustworthy? Or are you suggesting I should compromise my company's integrity because we share DNA? Vivian, please, my mother pleaded, her carefully maintained appearance betraying signs of distress. Consider what this would do to our standing in the community. Like you considered my reputation when you told everyone my depression was just attention-seeking after the divorce you pressured me into? I shook my head, feeling the old wounds but no longer defined by them. No, Mother. Courtney's application is rejected. Furthermore, our ethics team will be forwarding our findings to her current employer and the Marketing Industry Association. They deserve to know who they're entrusting with their brand integrity. Courtney burst into tears, not the performative ones she'd perfected for Instagram sympathy, but raw, unfiltered sobs of someone facing genuine consequences perhaps for the first time. As for you two, I turned to my parents, feeling decades of dismissal crystallize into clarity. I suggest you thoroughly reconsider how you've treated both your daughters. One you've praised endlessly despite her misrepresentations. The other you've dismissed despite her integrity and genuine innovation. My father's face contorted, the same expression I'd seen when I refused his golf buddy's job offer. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Humiliating your family after everything we did for you during your difficulties. No, Dad, I'm not enjoying this at all, I replied honestly, feeling only sadness for what could have been. I'm doing what Grandpa Edwin taught me, standing by my principles and holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of who they are. I walked to the window wall, gazing out at the San Francisco skyline where Nexus Technologies were transforming countless lives. You know what hurts the most? If any of you had shown even a moment of genuine interest in my work, rather than my marital status or mental health, you would have discovered all of this. My full name and innovations have been featured in technology publications for years. But you were all too convinced of my fundamental inadequacy to notice what I was building. I turned back to face them. Now, I have a meeting with our Women in Tech Mentorship program to prepare for. Marcus will escort you out. Courtney, you'll receive formal notification of our decision. I hope you'll use this as an opportunity for authentic self-evaluation. Vivian, my mother tried one final time, her voice wavering. We can still be a proper family. We can move past this unpleasantness. I sat back down at my desk, picking up my tablet with our latest quantum computing breakthrough proposal. We'll always share genetics, mother, but family? That requires mutual respect, genuine support, and unconditional love. None of which any of you demonstrated when I actually needed it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have innovations to develop. They departed in stunned silence, Courtney's mascara running, my father supporting my mother's unsteady steps. As the door closed behind them, Zoe entered with a steaming cup of my favorite tea. Are you all right? She asked quietly, the concern of a true friend evident in her voice. I took a deep breath, looking at the framed photograph on my desk, not of my parents or Courtney, but of my grandfather Edwin in his MIT lab, the only one who had truly believed in my potential from the beginning. You know what, Zoe? I am. I felt the weight of pretense finally lifting. For the first time since before my divorce, I truly am. Over the next year, our family dynamics underwent a profound transformation. Courtney's employer conducted a comprehensive audit of her claimed achievements, leading to her eventual resignation from corporate marketing altogether. My parents made fewer appearances at social functions, their carefully cultivated image tarnished by the revelation that they had systematically undermined their successful daughter while enabling their dishonest one. I channeled my energy into expanding Nexus's ethical AI initiatives and our Women in Tech Mentorship Foundation. The technology world embraced the story when it emerged, the hidden innovator who had revolutionized AI interfaces while her family dismissed her potential. It became an emblem of authentic achievement prevailing over performative success. 1 year later, I received a package from Courtney, not a carefully staged social media post or text, but a handwritten letter accompanied by her deleted Instagram account confirmation. For perhaps the first time, she was working at an entry-level position at a small nonprofit, with no family connections or purchased followers to rely on. She wrote that she was beginning to understand the difference between appearing successful and creating actual value. My parents required more time for reflection, but eventually my mother sent a tentative email, acknowledging their failure to see beyond traditional success metrics and requesting an opportunity to truly know me, not as the daughter they had tried to mold, but as the visionary I had become despite their limitations. I saved both messages in a digital folder alongside my grandfather's final letter to me. Not because I was ready to forgive, but because they represented an important truth: real achievement isn't about external validation. It's about staying true to your own vision despite doubt. Exactly 1 year after that pivotal interview, I sat in my office reviewing our latest AI ethics guidelines. Zoe entered with the newest MIT Technology Review. The cover featured our company's breakthrough, Nexus CEO Vivian Mitchell-Reed, revolutionizing ethical AI through quiet innovation. The article made no mention of family dynamics or Courtney's failed interview. It concentrated on what truly mattered: the technology we developed, the ethical standards we'd established, the positive changes we were making globally. Because ultimately, that's what genuine success embodies. Not carefully curated social media presence or exaggerated achievements, but creating something meaningful, something that improves lives. They had called me unstable during my darkest moments. Now I was leading the industry, setting new standards, showing what authentic innovation truly looks like. And that carried more significance than any moment of vindication ever could.